Good afternoon. We'll call to order the Blythewood Town Council meeting for Monday, December the 15th, 2025. The time is 6:03. Ms. Durst, would you please call the roll, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Hovis. Here. Councilman Brock.
Here.
Councilwoman Fritz. Here. Councilman McHenrick.
Here.
Mayor Griffin.
Here. Thank you, ma'am. Was the meeting agenda posted according to state law?
Yes, sir, it was.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, item C, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented this afternoon.
So moved.
Motion made, looking for a second. I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Would you please join Mayor Pro Tem Fripp for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Please bow your head. Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together tonight. Lord, we thank you that you allowed each of us to get here safely. We ask that you allow us to conduct our business tonight in a civil and thorough manner. Lord, we just ask that you continue to watch over us, Lord God, as we leave this place. We just thank you for the town of Blythewood. We thank you for the United States. We thank you for our service members, our first responders, and we thank you for all that you do and all that you've given us. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to council member remarks. We'll start with Councilwoman Hovis. All right, thank you. Councilman Brock. Mayor Pro Tem Fripp.
I just want to notify the council and everyone here. We have a resident, Geraldo Castro. Some of you are familiar with him. He has been to the podium several times, and he certainly was a champion for the town of Blythewood and for us doing the right thing. And he passed away this past Saturday. So I just wanted to make everyone, Geraldo Castro, so he passed away on Saturday. So I just want us to keep his family, in our thoughts and prayers. Suddenly, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman McHenrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would agree with Mayor Pro Tem. Just lift up the Castro family and keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And certainly don't want to miss the opportunity to wish everybody present, fellow council members, staff, as well as those watching, very Merry Christmas, as this will be our last council meeting before the holidays. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. That concludes council members' remarks. Mayor remarks to the town of Blythewood. Please keep the family, Castro family, in your thoughts and prayers. Anything we can do, we definitely want to be of service to that family, as he did do a lot and say a lot, and that's what's important. No matter which end of the aisle you're on, democracy and civil democracy is always important. So prayers are lifted for that family as well. Merry Christmas to Blythewood. Happy New Year to all in attendance, to the council. Wish you and your family a very safe and happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You'll get a text from me like you always do on the holidays. I understand if you're busy eating and unwrapping gifts, but do know that you are in my thoughts for these holiday seasons as well. Staff, thank you all so much for everything that you all do throughout the year. Y'all hold us together. Y'all are the glue, and we definitely appreciate you being the glue to keep us together. So we definitely are sending our holiday wishes to you all and to your family. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you as well. Mr. Driggers, thank you, sir, for your time this year. It's been a challenge, but we've been up to the task, and I want to thank you for being part of that challenge and task and helping me understand some things and always answering the phone and giving me the straight. Whether I want to hear it or not, that's what's important for your leadership there. So Merry Christmas to you and your family. Pete, likewise, sir, thank you. I try not to call you because you bill us, but thank you for answering the phone either way. So Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you. That ends my remarks there. I'll be looking for an item H, approval of the minutes from the Town Council regular November 24th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion made. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second made. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone signed up? Well, I'll pause, don't worry about it. Anyone wish to speak this afternoon? I'll pause for a moment as I always do. Thank you, sir. Hearing none, we'll close public comment. We'll close public comment at 6:09. Ms. Durst. Next item on the agenda is boards and commission updates. Mr. Driggers, do we have any updates from the Doco Meadows Park Foundation?
I have no information relative to their work, but I do have information, my apologies. I do have information relative to the appointment for that position. I was able to obtain the bylaws, but did not have an opportunity to read those until after your agenda was published. So you will find this as an agenda item at your January meeting. But in the bylaws of the foundation, there is a section relative to the appointment of certain members. The board of the foundation is comprised of 7 to 9 members. One of those members is the town council representative. Section 8, town council representation, one seat on the board of directors will be filled by a member of town council as appointed by town council. So our most immediate member, who is no longer serving on council, filled that position prior, Councilwoman Page. And so I will have as an agenda item for you at your January 26th meeting, I believe it is, for the appointment. But what that gives is plenty of opportunity for you to have some conversation among yourselves of who would be the appropriate representative from this council, of the 5 of you representing town council on the foundation board. I will also, once that occurs, I would like to spend some time with the council representative to that board, which is very normal over time. Bylaws, constitutions of these types of organizations, there are things that are identified in those bylaws that we are to do. And in the records, I'm finding that not all of that has been accomplished. And so I think it'd be a great opportunity for us. Once we have that representative named, I'll work with that representative, and then we'll have a chance to work with the foundation on getting that kind of up to speed. But you know, it's great work that group has been done over the years, and we look forward to having a new member of council representing. So again, on your next agenda.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for our interim administrator, manager? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item B, Central Midlands Council of Government. Myself there as the representative. It's Christmas and no meetings are going on. We will pick those meetings back up in January. Item C, Richland County Transportation Penny Advisory Committee, TPAC, Councilman McKendry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The COG may not be meeting, but TPAC certainly did today. TPAC did have our monthly meeting today, which I attended, and the only notable news out of TPAC would be the realignment of the 5 projects, road extensions or widening, that came out of the old penny. which Creech Road was a part of, and I'm certainly pleased to say Creech Road is still a part of the 5 projects remaining to be funded under the old penny. So that was really the only notable news out of TPAC today.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for Councilman McKendry? Thank you, sir. Hearing none, we'll move to staff reports. Item A, financial reports, our finance director, Ms. Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. For the month of November, our revenues totaled $478,548.82, while the expenditures were $342,152.29. Our year-to-date totals were $2 million on the revenue, $2,316,560.69, and the expenditures were $1,301,688.16.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Edwards?
Do you know if that correction got made?
I have asked him several times, but I have not got an answer, but I'll try to call him tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a question. Ms. Edwards, looking at the check register, why is there very little to no memo or descriptions? Mr. Driggers, I really think that we need to show a lot more detail in these check registers. That would prevent us from having to either reach out to you or maybe obviously with your blessing, maybe Ms. Edwards, because there's a lot of checks on here that I would like more information on, and I don't feel that it would be the best use of time to go one by one if that's something that we can have added to this register.
Yeah.
So I do enter a memo in detail, great detail of what's being paid on each one. This may be a different field. I'll have to check in QuickBooks and see which field it may be pulling. Because it, like the AMS, it should show December payment, their monthly service fee is entered in with that.
Which one is that?
The second one.
Oh, it doesn't show anything.
It doesn't, no, but I did enter that. So I'm not sure if this report's pulling a different memo field or not. I'll have to check that and let you know.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it should, but I know that there's descriptions being entered with each invoice, and I'm not sure why they're not showing on here.
Okay, once you get that sorted out, can you, Mr. Driggers, can you resubmit the current fiscal year check registers for all months with those descriptions added?
Yeah,
Once you get that pulled in?
If it's discoverable in a field off the report, glad to do that.
Yeah,
If it's
just
something we have to
email them
re-enter,
back out.
I have to take another look at that, but we'll certainly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Edwards? All right, thank you, ma'am. Item B, town manager report. Mr. Driggers.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, did receive the information concerning the Park Foundation. Also, later in your agenda, there's information for your discussion on boards and commissions. I just wanted to share a couple of items on that. We are ready for you and should have, in due course in the fall, should have been bringing to you for reappointment or new appointment to those boards and commissions. They have rotating terms. Some of those terms, obviously, what we've given you tonight in your discussion is for you to see that we have several of those that have expired. We have a few that are current, but most of those have expired in our Planning Commission, our Zoning Board of Appeals, and our Board of Architectural Review. So in each of those, we need to get up to date with those. And so again, I will be placing those on your January 26th agenda. Wanted to give you ample opportunity and time with discussion this evening, and then the month to be able to determine how you want to move forward. But in each of those positions, we will identify those by seat, by term, and then if we've got terms that are expired for greater than, so for example, a reappointment or a new appointment may not be for a 2-year, or for a 4-year term. It may be for a 2-year term because it expired 2 years ago. And so we're going to have to look at that, and we'll clearly have that identified, that for reappointment or for new appointments, whether those are current, 2-year, or 4-year. And then once we get all of that up to date, you'll be able to, then every 2 years, you will, every year in September, you would be making appointments for those positions. And so we want to bring that to you, but we wanted to get it on your agenda tonight so that you could see that. And then if there's any direction that you want to give me when you get to that item of the agenda, if you can give me direction on that, if there's some path forward that you want to do, maybe there's some protocol that you've been, that you're familiar with, that's kind of been the practice of the town for many years. If you can just bring me up to speed so that we can get this up to date and moving forward. But we want to make sure we're all up to date on each of our boards and commissions. I do want to make sure that we all understand, though, that sitting members, if there is an expired term, a sitting member continues to serve until that seat is either reappointed or that seat is appointed to someone else. So there is not, unless a member resigns, that seat is not vacant at the end of their term. It will always, the sitting member remains until they are replaced or they resign.
Is that by ordinance? Just curious. How would you ever have a board or a commission with unfilled slots?
There are vacant slots.
Yeah.
How would you ever have one with vacant slots?
Yeah, how would you ever have a vacancy on a board or a commission?
Resignation.
That's the only way.
That's the only way.
Okay.
Otherwise, you continue to serve until appointed. Now, whether that is in your local ordinance
okay.
or that is, we'll have to take a look at that.
Okay.
But yes, I'm pretty sure that is what is in your local ordinance because I've read it for the Planning Commission, but I have not researched the one for BAR and for Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good. You have each received information from me regarding the strategic planning session. Again, this is an item on your agenda for a little bit later for you to give me some feedback. There seems to be consensus of us meeting on Monday, January the 12th for that planning process. Tonight, I am asking for you, among yourselves, to determine, to designate that date, but also to set the time. There are various conflicts that folks may or may not have relative to the start time, not necessarily relative to the end time, but the start time. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page of us doing that process. And again, it's on your agenda so that because we will need you to designate a special meeting of council. And so that's why it is on the agenda, so to set the date and the time for that. I did want to share a little more with you. I know I did that in my communication to you of the meeting, but the review process I envision will run probably 4 or 5 hours in one seating. We can make some adjustments based on our needs and our schedule. But the adjustments typically means that we do not get to have as in-depth discussion on items. It means that we try to hit as many topics as we can, and then once we have kind of hit our time limit, we have to move on to other matters. What is very, very important in the process is to make sure that there are not ideas, concepts, that there are not strategies, that there's not goals, that are not brought to the floor. We may not solve a lot of problems that evening. It is not the intent of that night to solve problems. Our objective that evening will be for us truly to set a course on what are the priorities for the town over the next 12, 24, 36 months. And we're going to look at it that way. What are our short-term, our midterm, and our long-term over a 1, 2, and 3 year period. And then we're going to establish what are our highest priorities, what are still priorities, but they're not our highest. We're going to review, are there things that were discussed in your last strategic planning session that you have accomplished and you believe you can check that off and it doesn't need to be there any longer. You can move on from that. There may be items that have not been discussed before. We have a new member of council that was not involved in the meeting a year ago, so new ideas will come to the table with that, different priorities. Our circumstances are different this coming year than it was a year ago. Our form of government has changed, and so all of this creates truly a dynamic for us that really enables us to work through the process. I will facilitate this meeting. We're not bringing someone else in from outside. I will serve as the facilitator for the meeting. I have done a lot of these. I do them as part of my consulting work for cities and towns all over the state. I've been doing these for the last 5 years for a lot of other people. I've done them in the cities I've served over the last 30 years, and I've done them for other cities as courtesies during that period as well. So I'm very, very familiar with a very specific type of process, maybe a little bit different than what you experienced with Mr. Bairno a year ago, but I don't think vastly different. I think the concept and the principles of that planning session will be very, very similar, but the intent at the end of the night, is for us to be able to say, we have identified very specific things that we want to accomplish in the next 12, 24, 36 months. And so there will be some pieces of that will be painful, and there will be some pieces of that will be very enlightening, I promise you. And so I look forward to it. I'm so glad we're doing it early in the year. We're getting this right off the first of the year, before even your first meeting of the calendar year. So when you get to that piece of your agenda, your direction on how that plays out that night, that will be very, very helpful. Did want to share a couple of communications that we've received since you last met. We received a thank you letter from CAB, the Christian Assistance Bridge. Those folks sent us a letter for your appropriation under your general budget. This was not the appropriation that we just made, the special appropriation, but the appropriation through your regular budget. Received a very nice letter from those folks. Glad to share that with anyone that would like to see that. And we also received a very, very nice thank you note from our friends over at Macedonia Baptist Church, where they do the food pantry program over there as well, and they are funded as part of our general fund budget each year as well. So very, very nice communications from each of those folks. As a reminder, we shared a little bit of this at the last meeting. Do recall that January 20th is the Hometown Legislative Action Day in Columbia. So it's a nice day drive over for us. We can go over, spend the day, we can come on back home. Works really well for us to be able to do that. If you have not yet signed up for Hometown Legislative Action Day at the State House through the Municipal Association, please just let us know. We will make sure we get you registered, and part of that, I will be going over for the day representing Blythewood on this as well. So I'd love for as many to join me as we can. Also, the Municipal Elected Officials Institute is taking place the very next day on the 21st. I believe we have at least one member who has registered, maybe two. 3. Oh, right, it's growing. So wonderful. So I'm very, very excited for us to get folks involved in that. I cannot sing the praises enough of the Municipal Elected Officials Institute. We have one member of our council who's a graduate of that program, but I challenge our graduate to go to the advanced program. There's another level, and continuing education in this field is always valuable. So thank you for signing up for that and continuing to do that. When I did this many, many years ago, there was only the Municipal Elected Officials Institute. Since that time, they instituted the Advanced Institute, and then they also now have the Advanced Continuing Education Institute, with a recognition that many people serve for long periods in public office, and that things are always changing. So continuing education is always a wonderful opportunity. So I'm glad that we can do that. We had a very successful tree lighting and parade here in the community. Very, very excited about that, but I want you to know that we are already making plans for next year. And so we did our staff debriefing right out of the first work day after the parade, or that Tuesday. We came in and we debriefed on that. We looked at what we thought went really well. We reviewed areas that we believe that there could be improvement. We looked at where our needs are in that process as well. There's always opportunities to do something bigger and better. And so we wanted to make sure that we were on top of that while it's fresh on our brains, and we have good notes going into that. But if you have ideas, suggestions, comments relative to that, Jordan is away on vacation through the holidays, but when she returns, share that with me, share that with her. We would love to integrate that as we move forward in doing that. But wonderful community celebrations for both the tree lighting and the parade here in the community. We are in the process, excuse me, we are in the process of completing the camera system install. It may completely be installed, Mayor. I know you were working with those folks last week while they were in, but they are quickly, at least if they're not completely finished, they are in the final stages of making all of those connections to our new fiber. So they were here on site, getting all those connections up. Everything's up and running. And so it's a good operational system that we have the ability that if there's an incident in any of our facilities or in any of our properties, we have the ability that we can share that with law enforcement, and there's opportunity for them to be able to sit in and live feed some of that as well. So we appreciate us being able to get that system up and going, and your commitment to us having that. And so that concludes my comments, remarks for this evening. It's a relatively light agenda, and that was intentional for us this evening. But as you finish up this evening, when we first started out, we didn't know if we would have an executive session or not. The agenda played out that we did not need one, but I want you to be aware that there's a package for you in the executive session meeting room, and so please don't leave this evening without stopping by to collect that package that's there and has your name on it. Very good. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm certainly glad to answer those at this time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Driggers?
No, but I have a comment, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
For the Christmas lighting, I was unable to get back in town for the parade, but for the Christmas lighting, I just wanted to recognize the crew, the grounds crew, I believe they're called here. I got so many comments about the lights around the Hoffman House, the facilities, how clean and inviting that they were, so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize their efforts.
I will share that with them tomorrow morning. We have a staff meeting, so I will make sure that is shared. Thank you very much for those comments.
Mr. Driggers, as part of the camera package, do we know if the back gate is operable now?
Is the gate operable?
Yeah.
Yes, we have one gate that is damaged that's on the front, and it is still operable, but the repairs are ordered for that to be repaired. But all gates are operable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Driggers, two things. On the 4th, the mayor released a press release regarding September 11th allegation. And do you have any updates on that, or is that officially closed?
I have received nothing from. There's been no report issued to the town regarding that incident, and but I have had a communication with the investigator, but no report has been issued to us.
Is there a report that we could actually see, or if there is, could you request it?
I inquired, and I do not anticipate that there would be a report that would be provided to us. I'm glad to share that what was communicated to me is that there were not sufficient grounds for any type of charges to be filed on that matter, and that the issue involving The trespass notice was a matter between the individual and with the town. And I have notified the investigator that it is our intent that we will lift the no trespass notice because there is no concern
Very good.
there's no issue with her being on our public property.
Okay, one last thing. The mayor alludes to in an email that there's an active investigation into the town upon his request. Can you shed any light on that as well? I was not aware of any active investigation into the town by Richland County.
I can't speak to what the mayor's referring to. I'm not familiar.
Any other questions for Mr. Driggers?
Now, I want to be clear. If you're asking, am I aware of an investigation?
Is there an active investigation into a member or members of council currently by Richland County Sheriff's Department?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments for Mr. Driggers? Thank you, sir. Old business, item A, Stanley Martin Home Letter of Credit, release for Ashley Oaks Phase 8. Action item this evening, Mr. Driggers.
Yes, sir. At your last meeting, we had 3 of these that came before us. One was accidentally omitted. This is the one that was omitted, that Section 8, Phase 8 of that project. This is their request for us to release our letter of credit, basically stating that all work performed as required under the letter of credit has been performed. All inspections have been conducted by Richland County. All matters of the letter of credit have been satisfied, and it is our recommendation that council would indeed approve the release of the letter of credit.
All right, thank you. Council, you heard our manager explain that. Any questions for him before we take a vote?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we release Stanley Martin from the letter of credit for Phase 8 in Ashley Oaks subdivision.
Thank you, sir. Motion made. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second made. Any discussion? Hearing none. Hearing no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to recognize the representative from Stanley Martin who's here.
Yep. You did it again. You was hiding again. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for attending this evening.
Well, thank you for having us on the agenda again. I appreciate that. And these are complete at this time. I do need to thank Mr. Gergers, the title documents.
Okay.
By chance have those.
You can see us.
Yep.
See me after the meeting, please.
Yep. We'll have those for you later. So thank you. Yes, ma'am. Good. All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, new business, item A, Lil Bailey and Associates is here this evening to talk about our financial status within the town of Blythewood. This is our year-end audit, which ends June 30th of this year. Mr. Driggers.
Please, if you'd like to approach the podium. Foster Hammond is with us this evening, representing the firm of Love Bailey. They have been our auditors for a number of years now. Had an opportunity to work with them through this audit. Obviously, this is July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 24 through June 30th, 2025. So this is for our fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2025. And so I'll ask if you'll share with us your findings.
Thank you guys for taking the time out of your night to be here. Just thank you for allowing me to be up here.
No, will you push the button on your microphone, sir?
It's on the top,
side.
towards the
Yep,
top.
right there you go.
Okay. Go ahead. I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me out here tonight. Thank you for just allowing me to come out here. Like you said, my name is Foster Heeman, and I'm one of the auditors. The typical auditor that normally comes out, his name is Will Walls, and he's sick tonight, so y'all are stuck with me.
Here's,
It's not
we'll
on.
get your, pull Pete's lapel right there.
Right there.
Pete's lapel on his
I got number
desk.
5.
We'll make sure that you get out. We're gonna get this fixed one day.
Hello?
Very good.
All right. This is tough. First time having a mic while I'm presenting. I guess third time's a charm. Thank y'all for allowing me to come out here, taking time out of your night to just hear what I have to say. Obviously, like I said before, my name's Foster Heeman. The guy that normally comes out here, Will Walls, he's sick tonight, so you have the bullpen coming out here, giving you the information. I'm very familiar with the town of Blythewood. I've worked on it for the past 3 years now. And I can just go ahead and lay down the basis of everything. So Love Bailey & Associates, our responsibility as the auditors, we are responsible to provide reasonable assurance. We basically provide an opinion, and there's 3 options. You have your adverse, modified, and unmodified, and you got the best of the 3, which is unmodified. That just basically means that that the numbers on the trial balance are presented in a material and reasonable way. And then another one of our responsibilities is to kind of design any tests and controls to pick up on fraud, of which we have no findings. And then the town of Blythewood, their responsibility is to maintain effective internal controls and ultimately the financial statements. Jennifer and Ed, they do a great job of both of those things, maintaining great controls to make sure that there's no fraud or any just misappropriation of funds or any type of classification issues or anything like that. And then also the financial statements. Shane's group does a great job of that as well, of just always responding in a timely manner and always having good record keeping. And then on the second page of the handout is just kind of a run through of the key financial highlights. And obviously, like I said before, the unmodified opinion, that's the best that you can receive. Basically says that you did as good as you can do on the financial statements. As far as the operating revenues and operating expenditures, year to year, it looks like those gaps on this handout, these gaps each year are kind of like the difference between your revenues and expenditures and how you can spend money extra on top of your operating. So as you can see, your operating revenues have gone up each year. And then 2024 is kind of that outlier year. That was the year that Scout Motors had submitted a significant amount of money in order to construct their facility. And then also y'all remitted a lot of money over to RCI Consulting so that it would be paid for. And you can see your operating income year to year has grown as well. And that is directly translated into you being able to do nice things such as improvements on buildings and the nice soccer field and any kind of parks assets like that. Then moving on, you have your expense composition by fiscal year. Basically, you can see that year to year, your general government has stayed relatively similar, other than in 2024, which was obviously, that was because of the Scout Motors. You remitted $2.5 million to RCI Consulting, which is that codes and enforcement outsourced firm, which helped you with the facility. And then you have your cash, your restricted and non-restricted cash trend, which is, you can see you have plenty of cash on hand. it's extremely healthy. You know, you have your unrestricted cash balances of around 8.5 million, and then your restricted balances of 3.7 million. And your restricted cash is made up of 2.4 million of capital projects, 600,000 of accommodation tax, and 600,000 of hospitality taxes. And like I said, your cash on hand is extremely high. It's 31 months, which is extremely healthy. We suggest to most municipalities your size to be around 3 to 6 months of cash on hand, and right now you have 31 months. And even if you include, which we typically don't, but even if you include your debt service payments and your capital expenditures on a year-to-year basis, you still have 14 months of cash on hand, which is extremely healthy. So you not only do you have a healthy cash balance, but you also have the ability to spend more on capital projects, such as what you've already done. Nice buildings like this, and you know, the soccer fields and any recreation facilities such as that. And then on that final kind of handout page, you have just the strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, you have that positive operating income for the last 5 years. That's excellent. You've been able to earn more than you spent, which is awesome. And then I do have to mention that of that instability in revenues. However, it's not really due to anything that's your fault. It's just that Scout Motors decided that Blythewood would be their home for that new that awesome facility, and you're reaping the benefits. And you can obviously see that with the injection of the cash. You have more cash on hand now to do with what you please, whether that's nice capital projects or anything like that. And then just overall, the finances remain strong, and the town has more than adequate cash reserves, and it pays its bills and invests in important projects, and received a clean audit opinion, the best they can get. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions? Councilman Brown.
I stepped out. Is it Foster?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned misappropriation of funds. What attestation methods do you use to look for those type of transactions?
So we test all the controls. So we submit a form. We have a questionnaire, and it basically says, hey, can you please fill this out for us and list all of your controls that you have in place for anything such as spending, receiving, large expenditures for capital assets, and anything like that, budgetary. We have several memos that kind of detail out those internal controls. And then what we do afterwards is that they're detailed out, and then we test those against. Let's say we selected an expenditure out of the general fund or the general ledger, and we compare it to those memos, and we say, were those things actually performed? And what we found is that, yes, that's true, that those expenses were true to what internal controls y'all have in place.
But it's not foolproof.
Sir?
It's not foolproof.
Well, we can't provide 100%.
You can't test all.
Correct. We can't provide 100% assurance. However, we do state that we provide reasonable assurance.
Okay. What about misuse of public assets?
Such as?
Do you test for that?
Such as?
If an official misuses a public asset, gives discounts or allows facilities to be used with no fees involved. Do you test for any of those?
We do, obviously, like I said before, we send out those memos and they list out the controls in place, and I'd be glad to send those to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sweet.
Any questions, further questions from Mr.
I have a question
Foster?
for Mr.
Ms.
Foster.
Hovis.
You test your findings based on the list of our controls, our internal controls, correct?
That's right.
So to his point, if we don't have an internal control, say if it's a generally accepted accounting practice for a town such as ours to have a fee waiver policy, then you couldn't determine whether or not there was a misappropriation, since maybe, and I don't know if we have that type of control, but if we don't have that control,
Okay.
you can't test it. Is that accurate?
I'm not 100% sure what the question is.
Sure, I'm not either, but I'm going to try better to ask this for you. I'm just wondering if the controls that the town has in place drives your findings. In other words, if we don't have a particular control in place, you're not able to determine whether or not we are deficient in that particular area.
Right.
Okay.
But to your point, we document those internal controls and we do evaluate them to see are there weaknesses, and then we make those suggestions, of which we had none.
So do you know, do we have a fee waiver policy?
I'm unaware of a fee waiver policy. I'd have to look through the internal controls.
Sure. Would it be consistent with general business accounting practices that a town such as ours adopt a fee waiver policy?
I can gladly, I'll do some research on that and get back to you on that.
Sure,
I'm
all right,
not
thank you.
100% sure.
All righty, thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Sweet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I leave this right here?
Yeah, you. All right, item B, first reading, discussion and approval of ordinance 2026.001, amending ordinance 30.03, meeting of council to modify the scheduling of regular meetings. Mr. P.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This proposed ordinance, which would be, if it's given second reading in January, would be ordinance number 2026.001. This proposed ordinance arose out of a discussion at last month's meeting regarding the timing of the council's regular monthly meetings. Just to, I think, give the council more flexibility in when meetings are held. Currently, section 30.03, which is entitled Meetings of Council, reads that regular meetings of council shall be held at a designated time on the last Monday in each month, unless changed by majority vote of members present at any regular or special meeting. That's what it currently reads. Some of the discussion at the last meeting was that the last Monday in each month might actually be the 5th Monday. Some months have 5 Mondays. So the discussion was, let's move the meeting to the 4th Monday in each month and reflect that in the ordinance. And also, let's change the ordinance to reflect that council can also approve and post notice of the regular meeting schedule for other dates through the year. So 30.03, the proposal in front of you for the amendment will now read, if approved, that regular meetings of council shall be held at a designated time on the 4th Monday in each month, unless changed by a majority vote of members present at any regular or special meeting, or unless a different day is designated by council at the time council approves and posts notice of its regular meeting schedule in accordance with section 30.02A. And 30.02A, which is not, there's no changes being made to 30.02A, but just for everyone's reference, that is the provision that provides that written public notice of the council's regular meetings must be posted at the beginning of each calendar year. So there's multiple ways that council can change that date of its regular monthly meetings. Right now, sort of the default is that it's on the 4th, that it will be on the 4th Monday in every month, unless there's a change made by council at a regular meeting, or when you do that planning of the entire calendar for the coming year, a different date can be put on the calendar then, rather than the 4th Monday in each month. So that's what you have in front of you right now. I hope that reflects the discussion that was had at last month's meeting.
Yes, sir.
Which is exactly what you did when you approved the calendar for 2026.
Yep.
Right.
You followed that because in December of 2026, you're meeting on the Tuesday following the 4th Monday. And the reason is because Town Hall is closed on that Monday because the holiday will be celebrated Thursday, Friday, and Monday. And you designated Tuesday as your meeting day.
Yep. All right. Thank you, sir. Any discussion, questions from council?
Does this need
All
to
right.
say town manager? Does this
Yeah,
need to say
that's
town
not the right one.
manager? Okay.
Yep, he got to change, but it's not the right. Any other discussion for staff? All right, hearing none, I'll be looking for a motion to approve as presented.
So move.
Motion made, looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, any discussion?
Yes. Councilman McKendrick, would you be up for a friendly amendment under section 30.03 meetings of council, line item B, to read as follows: special meetings of council may be held on the call of the mayor, comma, town manager, comma, or a majority of members of council. The reason I ask this is that the town of Bluffton actually has this language in there, and while state statute dictates that as a baseline, meetings may be held on the call of the mayor or majority members of council. Council determines its own rules. Therefore, I think it would be prudent for us, since we've switched over to a new form of government, to also allow the town manager to call special call meetings. Would you accept that friendly amendment, Councilman McKendrick?
That amendment seems a little bit beyond just the 30.03A, and I think there can be a motion made to amend the previous motion, but I think the best thing to do would be to have a vote on that motion to amend and then a vote on first reading of the ordinance. Does that make sense?
Make the change first.
Right. Well, no, the first motion would be a motion to amend the previous motion.
Okay.
To include what you just said.
Okay. Then I'll move to amend the previous motion to include the words town manager in line item B to read as follows: special meetings of council may be held on the call of the mayor, comma, town manager, comma, or a majority of members of council.
Would you take that, Councilman McKendrick?
Well, like I say, I think if Councilman Brock is making that motion, that needs a second.
Okay.
And then that would get voted up or down whether the original motion is amended.
I would
Gotcha.
second.
Would you
I would
second that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on the amended change? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. All right, now you go back in.
Yes, Mr.
and
May,
then go back.
now it goes back to the original motion, just whether they're for first reading on this with the amendment now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so council, this motion, I'll be looking for a motion to approve as amended with section B as read out earlier. I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. First reading is approved. Item C, boards and commission appointment. It's a discussion item. Mr. Driggers, you have anything else, or are you still looking for?
I really have no additional information, but certainly want to look for direction of council. At this point, my intent is to add it to your January agenda for action. But if there's some magic you guys do in doing this, I just need to be aware of.
Are you're going to email everyone the documents?
Well, you should have this in your council package. You should have the information, and I will send to you the section of our code relative to each of those boards and commissions.
All right, please do that.
Yes.
And council, any discussion, any other questions? Our town manager will email us the necessary documents so we can be ready in January. All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
No. Mr. Driggers, if my reading is correct, it looks like 3 members of the planning commission have expired terms. All members on the bar have expired terms. And 2 have expired terms on the BZA with 2 vacancies.
I'm showing 3 expirations and 1 vacancy. Is there, am I missing one? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Looks
I
like
didn't
2
catch
and
that.
2.
Yes.
Okay, so my request is, are we going to do any advertising and solicit new applicants for these board seats and commission seats?
Yes, and we certainly can do that. Particularly on the planning commission, and I'm going to make some assumption the others would have referenced the same way. There's language in that says, I believe it says August of each year, that the town shall seek interest in those positions. And then if those folks who have interest, we would provide their qualifications to the full council, and council would consider those for an appointment. So it does provide for that, that we would solicit.
Yes, I think we should, and I think we should also, if there are members who are currently serving on the bar or the BZA that would like to serve on the planning commission, I think we should encourage those individuals to submit their credentials as well.
We could certainly share that information with each of them in that regard as well.
Please do.
So do I hear that Mr. Driggers, you're going to reach out to all members of the Planning Commission, the Board of Architectural Review, and the BZA?
Well, I think one of the things that is important, and I think this is where we sometimes have risk, in small communities, sometimes it can be hard to get people to serve on various boards and commissions. It's just fact of life. Sometimes it's hard to do that. When you go to individuals and say, your term is expiring or your term has expired, first thing we typically want to know is, are you interested in reappointment? Well, a lot of folks will respond immediately, well, I didn't know that I could get off of this thing. And they'll take advantage of that opportunity to go ahead and say, yeah, I'm gonna roll off of it. I think we need to be prepared that we could have several appointments to make.
Sure.
We know that we've got a couple of vacancies. We've got a few folks that their terms have expired that may say, I do not wish to be reappointed. And then there could be folks that their terms have expired that it is not council's desire to reappoint. I mean, that's all part of this process. And so I just want you to be aware that we want to make sure we've got good community members out there that are willing to serve in these different roles. And but I do think we've got good time between now and that January 26th meeting that we can get information out, we can get information to you, and you can be thinking about that. What I didn't want to have happen is I didn't want you to get an agenda on a Friday that says we need to make an appointment to a board of commission on Monday, and you've literally got the weekend to be trying to think about that, and so I wanted to give us this good ample time to do that.
So the communication will tell the individuals where they need to apply or send their information?
Yeah, the way, and I'm just looking for it. It's in this section. But it does say that the town will, and my interpretation of the town is that the staff, the clerk, the manager would provide information that these seats are available. And that's what these give us. It lets us know that everything that is prior to January of 2026, that all of those seats are up. I mean, they're available.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point, but heading into January, we're going to have to appoint a staggered class. Clearly because, I mean,
To get us back on the correct rotation.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, sir.
100% of our planning commission is outside of the class they served in.
Right.
That's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Thank God we have council manager form of government.
So-
Otherwise, we'll pass another August.
So what we will do is when we bring that, they will be for very specific terms.
Terms. So we're going to
One may be
appoint,
longer than another, and they're being appointed on the exact same night.
we're going to appoint, right, somebody to planning commission potentially for a year, and then
Correct.
re-up them in August, or
Potentially.
potentially.
But all members of boards and commissions should serve for terms, very specific, as you do, very
Certainly.
specific terms.
I mean, yeah, certainly, 3 of us on council did on planning commission. So, I mean, we're aware of those terms, but it's, in some ways, it's not fair to the commission that we're getting ready to tell the chairman, every member of the commission, including yourself,
Could
Could
come off.
possibly.
could come off.
Yeah.
And then the same is true for the Board of Architectural Review, which is, you know, that's a very important board. Just ask Subway.
Mr. Triggers, what is the minimum number of seats that have to be filled to conduct business? Majority 4?
A quorum, and so the planning commission has 7 members.
They all have 7.
They all have 7?
Yeah.
So 4?
All right, so now, if you had 4, let's just play what ifs. If the council chose not to appoint certain members and then there were no members of the community to fill those seats, you'd have some vacancies. If you have 4 members, and does it, when they show up, is the quorum a majority of the 4, or is it a majority of the 7, and they'd all have to show up to meet quorum? Is it based on total seats or just members available?
It's of the 7.
So you'd have to
If-
have 4 minimum every time?
You would have to have 4, yes.
Okay,
It's, whether they're filled or not, it just goes back to what the statute of the ordinance says the number has to be. If it says it has to be 7, like I'll take your word for it now that all of them are 7, then yeah, their quorum has, there's got to be 4 for a,
could we change the number of seats on each board or commission?
I think so, but I'd have to go back and look at state law to see if there's anything in state law about how many are if there are any requirements for zoning boards or architectural boards or planning commissions also.
Because given what you stated, Mr. Triggers, the nature of a small community, it may be advantageous to have 5 versus 7.
Right, like for instance, I believe that the number on a planning commission is tied to the number of residents in a town. There's obviously smaller towns than us that may have a planning commission, and it could be difficult to find qualified, because planning commission, I think, traditionally has the most requirements. You want an architect, you want somebody with real estate experience, things like that. So, you know, the smaller community you have. So, I mean, you may be able to change the composition.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you mind
Yes.
looking into that?
Yeah, we certainly can.
And would it be prudent to have an answer by the workshop?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Thank you. Moving on to item D, discussion to establish a committee for event safety. Councilwoman Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a proposal to form a volunteer advisory group on a temporary basis that would consist of community members with various qualifications to have a discussion as to whether or not Doco Meadows Park should be reopened for large-scale events such as Juneteenth and 4th of July. I propose that we would create a task force that would consist of 6 members. It could be 5 or 7, but the smaller the number, the easier it is to reach a consensus. The members would meet twice monthly through the spring, and at the conclusion of those meetings, they would provide a recommendation to town council for a vote. Again, these would not be This would not be a task force with voting privileges, and I call it a task force because it's not a long-standing advisory board. The membership would include people who would write an expression of interest to serve on this particular committee and email it to the town clerk, and preferably those would be people with experience in public safety, emergency management, public administration, security planning, and community or youth-focused events, i.e. parents of young people. Ensuring that we have a good wide representation. And these meetings would be open to the public, held at an available town or community facility. It would require minimal staff support. I do not envision that this would create a cost for the town whatsoever. And again, it's only an advisory position. I do this because it's more due diligence than anything. Whether or not they come up with an idea that we want to accept, whether or not the park is reopened for large-scale events, I'm not sure that it is well suited for that. And we all know that we cannot prevent violence and terrible things that will happen in our community, but I do believe the town has a responsibility to do our due diligence to include the community in coming up with some sort of proposal to move forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, or this is an action item? Well, discussion, I'm sorry. Any questions or advice for Councilwoman Hovis? Mayor Pro Tem Fruit.
Councilwoman Hovis, would there be a member of council on this committee? Or you, would it?
Thank you for your question. I would like to serve on the committee. I believe it's appropriate. I don't think that I would be a chair. I do believe that the committee would have the responsibility of naming their own chair to avoid any bias or undue favoritisms. I would like to serve on the committee. I do believe I meet most of these qualifications, and I could bring quality, whether it be to reopen or not.
And this committee plans to bring this back to council by?
Given the holidays, my goal was to have January through March, 2 meetings through them, but by the time that I think that we can appropriately notify the community of this opportunity, I do hear from community members from time to time say things like, I didn't know anything about it, and I think we should make an effort, and I know Jordan is on vacation, to use social media to say to the public, we need your help, we'd like your help, would you be interested? So I would say maybe in the February to April timeframe, and bring back, and I guess that would be late spring, a recommendation to town council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Hovis, I appreciate you putting this on the agenda and taking the willingness to tackle this by serving on the task force as well. The only recommendation, one of the recommendations I would have would be that your first or second meeting of the task force, you invite members of council to come in to share with the task force why events were paused and where our concerns lie as the elected officials as they're going to work towards a plan and a recommendation. I think it would be helpful to the task force to hear directly from the elected officials to what our concerns were for pausing those events to begin with.
I agree, and that would be helpful for me also because I didn't serve at that particular time. I don't have all the information. I have a pretty good bit of it, but that would be very helpful, I believe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Councilwoman Hovis, a little more color, if you don't mind. You mentioned maybe 6 individuals. I would recommend an odd number. That way you don't end up with ties.
And I had thought about that, but they don't have voting privileges, but you're right.
Within your committee, they would.
Okay, then
Otherwise, how would you make a decision?
odd it is.
Also, too, I'd like to clarify just for the public that I think you mentioned the park was closed or some variation of that. The park is not closed and has never been closed. We've just decided to suspend a few large events, mainly the ones that occur at night due to the actions of some. So just again, the park is not closed. It's open every day.
That's correct. That's a mistake
Yeah.
I made during my debate, and I was quickly
Yeah.
and appropriately
And it's-
corrected by Councilman McKendrick, because I misspoke.
Yeah, and it's okay, just so everybody knows, like, you know, there's a few events that have,
Right.
yeah. that
Where I
we
got my
just-
sweet potatoes for Thanksgiving was at the farmer's market
Yep,
at Dovecote Park.
that's all I have, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we ready to take a vote? We have to
I
vote?
don't- Yeah,
Are we
there's no
voting?
action.
There's no
Yeah,
action.
Not an
there's no
action
action.
item.
Okay. So, all right, cool deal. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Hovis, would it be your intent to put this on our
January.
January agenda as an action item?
Yeah, we'll make sure we'll get Mr. Driggers to get back with Ms. Hovis on January.
Mr. Driggers, could you include this in this as an action item at the beginning of the special call meeting? That way it doesn't push her
It'd be-
back for
it'd
another
be very
6
quick.
weeks?
I'm going to respectfully ask that
I
we not do any
Okay,
business.
fair enough.
But we can have discussion about anything, and this can certainly be part of it.
Pete?
But I have learned in my short period of time, we will eat our planning time
Oh, yeah,
if we
absolutely.
have an action.
And I agree with you, but Pete, for the sake of a councilwoman's timeline, I'm gonna ask you, how do we get a vote on this tonight?
The agenda.
Move to, yeah.
I mean, I think you can, it's properly noticed. I mean, there's a discussion about having, I mean, it's properly noticed that there was going to be this discussion
Right, so-
about establishing a committee. And
So I think I'm gonna make the motion to change, to
I don't
amend
even
the
think, I don't even
agenda.
think you need to amend the
You don't?
agenda. I don't
Okay.
think you need to amend.
I'm gonna make
the
a
agenda.
motion that
So
we establish a task force as described by Councilwoman Hovis, with her being the council representative on that task force.
All right,
Thank
thank you. So motion made to establish a committee for event safety with Councilwoman Hovis as the council representative. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, discussion.
Yes, Councilwoman Hovis, in establishing this, you call it a task force committee, whatever you want to call it, looks like it has enough votes to pass. How and by whom are the other 4 or 6 members going to be selected?
Good question. I will have social media post the preferred requirements, which I listed as experience, career experience or educational experience in a number of areas, including public safety, emergency management, public administration, security planning, or community youth activities. And those folks who are interested will apply, and we will receive those statements of interest and then go over those. It would be my vision that we would go over those and see who we believe qualifies. And I will say that last time that I was here, a gentleman from the public, I regret I don't know his name, but he came in here and he spoke during public comments, and he had a concern about this. And I don't know that we circle back with people or how that works, but I would really like to hear from him also, because I believe that people make the effort to come here and speak, either meet some of these qualifications, or they have teenagers or preteens, and they understand the need for safety and some of the motivating factors in that particular population.
Ms. Councilwoman, I'm
So
sorry, Mayor Pro
is-
Tem
So are the members going to be town residents, or can they be in the unincorporated Blythewood? Or do they have to be Blythewood?
I don't know the answer now that you say it like that, the unincorporated. You know, when I was running for office, I can't tell you how many people came up and were turned away and said, I can't vote here, I live here. How can council do that to me? And I wanted to go into the whole iteration of, you know, the town was formed in late 1800, and this is how it was then, et cetera. But people are very upset not having a voice. So now that you mention that, I think it would be appropriate that it would be anybody in the 29016 zip code.
Oh. Okay.
And
What
Ms.
dates?
Hovis, just
See,
for,
this,
Ms. Hovis, just for your notes, that was Mr. Lawrence Moore who came
Thank
before us
you.
and spoke.
it's in this on page 7 of 88 in your packet.
Is floor still discussion, Councilman Brock?
Yeah, Ms. Hovis, or Councilwoman Hovis, apologies. Based on what you just said, in accordance to what Ms. Ball said, that the residents would need to be, or the members would need to be town residents, it would seem prudent that any interested party would direct their information to Mr. Driggers to kind of properly screen and vet them, because if it, well, hold on, here's why. Here's why I'm gonna say this. I don't think you're gonna get 100, so don't freak out. Here's why. Councilwoman Hovis, you seem to imply that they would come before council and that we would select them. That would require like an open vote of some sort of, some sort of polling or vote like we do members of the BZA, the Planning Commission, or the bar. I don't really want to get into that, so I'm not really interested in looking at that.
Yeah, Councilman Brock, I took that I think it's just interpretation. I took that Ms. Hovis, as council representative, would form her task force from members of the Blythewood.
Am I the only one that didn't get that?
That's just how I took it. I'm just one.
She even agrees with me. She didn't interpret it that way. What was your original interpretation? What were you
I
saying?
did think it would be a council-wide effort, and I didn't realize that the quorum and the rules, et cetera, would fall into place then.
I think it just delays
Correct.
your formation and your
Yes,
selection
yes.
of members. That's what I think it does, and I don't think that's what you're looking to do.
No.
Because if you have to bring it back to council, we are going to have a quorum, we are going to have a vote, and you're going to have to screen applicants, and I don't think that's what you're looking to do. And if I'm wrong,
I would say that you're just bringing in expertise to advise the town, which you regularly do. And so they could come from Richland County Sheriff's Department, they could come from other places and not be residents.
Well, I would yield to Mr. Balthazar for that.
All right,
as
I
seated
think,
members,
so, I don't know if we got it. I don't know if that's ready for a vote tonight.
Oh, my motion would stand. I think it's ready for a vote, and I would encourage Ms. Hovis to get with Mr. Driggers.
That's what I was about.
And just guide her in the selection process.
Yeah, I have a brief input if I may. I mean, I don't think that because this is just an ad hoc committee, this is not something that is set up by statute that says there has to be a certain number of members or anything. I don't think there's any requirement that anybody has to be from the town limits of Blythewood, but that is up to, I mean, I think the motion can be made, leave that up to Ms. Hovis to figure out those details. I mean, listen, I mean, whether it's a great idea or not is not really for me to say, but I mean, I think at that point, Ms. Hovis can decide who she wants on her task force and go forward with it, sort of from a grassroots thing at that point. And then they can bring anything back to council they want to at any point.
So, and you just said exactly what I'm envisioning. This is her grassroots effort at a committee. And she can form that committee. She's not under state statutes as we are with planning commission and those types of boards.
I think really the only action here that's needed from council, which I'm hearing, is if there's going to be a council member on that committee, appoint that council member, and that's what it sounds like is being done. The council there is a motion to appoint Ms. Hovis to that committee, and then she takes the ball and runs with it.
And I
at
think
that
a
point.
lot of taking the ball and run with it, you're gonna hear, because Councilwoman Hovis, in our planning meeting, clearly we're gonna be talking about security, so you'll get a lot of information about kind of the heartbeat of council from that strategic planning. So, yeah, my motion would stand as I made it.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, discussion to determine a meeting date and time for the strategic planning workshop. Mr. Driggers.
Yes, sir. Again, January 12th is a date, seems to work for everyone. The time frame was running into some conflict with personal work schedules and that type of thing. I originally asked council to consider from 3 o'clock until 9 o'clock with a break for an executive session as a working dinner meeting. It will be a long evening. I don't think that after a full day of whatever everyone does, getting to the 9 o'clock hour is probably about as much as we could probably stretch that. I will certainly say if we could not start at 3 o'clock, if we started at 4 o'clock, or we started even later than that, it will just amend the process that I will ultimately use to do the work. I mean, I will do it in what works for you. But my original vision was that with the number of items that we have and our propensity to
Be
get very
loquacious.
engaged with ideas and suggestions and feedback on matters that extra time may be needed. But if there is a recognition that we may have to establish some time limits that say, good discussion, but we need to put this to the side and we'll come back to that at a later time. Either that's this evening or at some other time, but we have other matters that we have to get on the floor as well. I can do that in whatever fashion works best. But it isn't my place to tell you when to meet. I'm just sharing with you how I'd like to do the session.
Can the majority of us meet from 3 to 9? And I
Most of
understand you want,
I asked for 3.
you asked for 3. And I understand you want the majority of us there the entire time.
Sure.
Otherwise,
I just think
less
it's important. Yeah.
Now, is there the possibility that we are finished before 9?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, then
No,
I say 3.
no penalty for early dismissal. Yes.
Mr. Driggers, and council, can I offer an alternative time?
Go ahead, sir.
What about 1 to 7?
Sure.
I'd make it work.
From a staff perspective, absolutely.
I'd make
But,
it work.
but I don't know what that does to anyone
Could have
else.
lunch. Could even start at, if we want to do a working lunch or have lunch brought in for whatever, start at 1 and work till whenever. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to stay here till 9.
I can do,
I'm
I
just
can do
not.
1 to 7.
So can I.
Ms. Hovis?
She works.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm good.
1 to 7.
Let's go 1 to 7, sir.
If you guys will set the date and the time by a motion, that will get it into our record.
I
Somebody
move to
make a
approve a special meeting, or rather a strategic planning workshop on January 12th to occur here at Doco Manor from 1 p.m. to no later than 7 p.m. That way we gotta get out of here.
Yep.
All right, motion made to hold the strategic planning workshop on January the 12th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item F, Manor Audit Action Item. I requested this item just as after a conversation with our town manager, just on direction. Is there any appetite? I know we met with the Hobbs Group to discuss this early on. Is there any appetite to move forward with that? That would help staff on his side understand, know what direction, and that'll close or keep that chapter open.
I don't, just for discussion purposes, I don't think by not acting on a forensic audit of the manor at this point would necessarily close a chapter. But I think in light of the consultant we have just hired, that it would not be prudent for us to have dueling having a business plan completed for the manor, as well as a forensic audit for what some on council think were mismanagement. I don't think those two should coexist, so, but I don't think we necessarily close that chapter.
Yes, sir.
Just
It's-
my thoughts.
Yep, it's not closed, it's just a direction with staff. But that's the will of the council. Any other discussion before we move to adjournment?
Mr. Mayor, can you shed some light on why you believe that that the audit of the manor and potentially town hall operations and finances is warranted?
I think it's healthy to have an audit.
We just
Uh,
have
for-
one.
We just had
one.
Yep, I know. It is healthy to have an audit, and just earlier this evening, you especially, sir, had some questions for the auditor that may not been able to be answered. This came up, I believe, in August, if I'm not mistaken, as an item on the agenda. Then that guy came in that following month. It's a clean bill of health. It answers your questions. It satisfies where you believe we at, where you believe has happened. That clears up a whole lot of these questions that you may have.
Well, I'm not quite sure that statement is entirely accurate. You can only audit the information, and the audit's only as good as the information that you have. I do have a follow-up question. A few months ago, you mentioned to us that you had individuals that came in and were looking at matter documentation processes, something similar to this. Do you have any report to provide for us based on what they discovered?
Thank you for that question. And that was to help me understand how event halls operate, what we're missing, what they see around here. Not deep diving into the finances, looking at what programs and things that would help this staff understand and manage what things are missing around here. That's an educational piece for me, which I wasn't afraid to go to school to learn how to run events, which I'm not running events, but that was for me to understand what's going on here, what other folks in other places have done with similar setups, not a forensic audit.
Okay, and did they produce a deliverable?
We looked at some programs, but I will be quite frankly and honest with you, after them reviewing meetings and watching meetings, they really didn't want to have their names scrubbed through the mud. They were willing to come in and help, and they didn't want their names scrubbed through the mud. So I respectfully understand when they were offering assistance to educate, just to build a report so you could see. And I had to respectfully accept that from them.
One final question. Mr. Triggers, I believe a few months ago, you also mentioned something about doing your own investigation into the manor operations in related to potentially comped events, waived fees, just general mismanagement. Have you made any progress on that, or is that still ongoing, or has that even started?
My findings were referred to the Richland County Sheriff's Department.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you. I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made, looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Good night.